Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. In this episode we're going to be having a look at the exceptional story for April? I don't know how to say that word. Tauroktonos? Let's go. Gonna go in there and hopefully that word doesn't come up too much, otherwise I'm gonna look like an idiot. More so than normal. Scholars spill onto the streets outside Benthic College, clawing at their eyes. A terrible, seething drone fills the air. An imperiled student lurches across the road towards you. "Get it off!" he begs. A gal blighter wasp the size of a cat is perched upon his brow, swollen and ripe, its oviposture glinting in the gaslight. So we have three options. We can either help the imperiled student. You risk your eyes, but you can't stand by and do nothing. We can catch the wasp alive for research purposes, a delicate but potentially fruitful operation. Galblighter wasps are seldom successfully studied in captivity. People don't like to look too close. Or we can take advantage of the chaos. While the scholars are distracted, you can sneak into Benthic and steal some files. Somerset College are bound to pay a good price. Well, each one of these are pretty good, but I think we're going to try and capture the wasp. You snatch up the wasp by its wings and drop it into a crate. The insect batters around inside there for a while, buzzing monstrously. The student stammers his thanks and stumbles away, keen to be as far away from the wasp as possible. All around you, scholars are swatting wasps from each other's robes. A squad from the Ministry of Public Decency has arrived in beekeeping suits. Order reasserts itself. Later, you read in the newspaper that a prominent Roman historian was stung in the outbreak. By that time, you have dissected the wasp's corpse and inspected its baffling innards. So we gained 30 cryptic clues and 6 appalling secrets. Very good. We've unlocked the Season of Explorations card. So let's go have a look at that. It's the Confounded Traveler again. We already did this in the last episode, so here we are going to unlock the exceptional story. This looks like it's going to be a very interesting story, judging by the artwork anyway. Never judge a book by its cover, but that's a pretty cool cover. A row at the butcher's. A round-shouldered woman in a stained but comfortable-looking coat is standing on a butcher's doorstep, arguing with the proprietor. At his every word, she flinches. Finally, he slams the door. This being London, a small crowd has broken out. When she turns, they gasp. Her demeanour is irreparably marred by two swollen red eyes pulsating in the sockets like lamb's hearts. Let's ask her what it was all about. It's unwise to get into an argument with a man whose hands are calloused from the handle of a knife. She offers you a brave smile, introduces herself as a professor of Roman history at Benthic. I discovered a reproduction of a lost Roman census quite by accident in the library. Miscatalogued, would you believe? It was a census conducted by the Governor of Britannia, and it points to the location of Mithraic in London. Mithraic temples often survive to modern age because they were built underground, and this one would lie under this very street. Unfortunately, it's below the butcher's shop, and the butcher isn't willing to let me dig around in his cellar. The blighted classicist is standing forlornly outside the door of a butcher's shop. The crowd has dispersed mostly. A few urchins cling to a nearby rooftop and goggle at the classicist's eyes, whispering to each other. How long before our eyes hatch? You recognise the signs of Galblighter infestation. It is perhaps impolite to ask, but you must know. Oh, not for a week or two, according to my physician, says the classicist, cheerfully and brittle. Plenty of time, and in the meantime, I see such wonderful things. So now we have a choice of agreeing to intervene on the classicist's behalf. You'll try to persuade the butcher to let her dig around for a Roman temple, or we can offer to help for a price. You can solve her dispute, but you're not a charity. I'm a magnanimous fellow. We're gonna do it for free. The classicist thanks you profusely. He seems quite unconcerned that he's sitting atop a historical marvel, she says with genuine bafflement. For some reason, he is preoccupied with the financial implications. Oh, We got some connected benthic. Persuade the incredulous butcher. You step into the butcher's shop. The butcher maintains sullen eye contact as he thuds his cleaver into the side of a pork. When you mention the classicist's request, he snorts. "Not you too," he exclaims. "She wanted me to close up shop for 3 months so she could go rooting around in the cellar. Doesn't she understand this is my livelihood? So we can either mention our acquaintances to a certain master. Maybe you could recommend the meat here to Mr. Hart's. You're sure the master would enjoy coming here and trying out his selection of cuts, but this is because I have connections to the masters. Inspire the butcher to pursue something other than butchery. You'd imagine it'd do him good." That's a romantic notion and a Z story, which I have plenty of both, or we can offer to cover the butcher's costs, just for the duration of the classicist's dig. And that is going to cost us 500 pennies. Now my question is, will it use up the connection? I don't know. I mean, name dropping Mr. Hart's is a good way of getting anything done, right? So let's try that. Oh good. A change of heart. At the suggestion, the butcher's face turns the colour of watery gruel. You find his attitude miraculously transformed. He offers to fund the dig himself. So here we are at the dig. The blighted classicist has completely taken over the butcher's shop. She has mustered her least hungover students to assist with the excavation. At the moment, they are prying up floorboards. When the classicist spots you, she bustles over and clasps you in a hug. "Thank you for everything," she says. She is so close that you can hear the squirming of the things in her eyeballs. "Now let's just hope I'm right about the temple." So we can begin the dig. The classicist whistles. A dozen shovel blades pierce the mud in unison. As the students dig, the classicist brews up a cup of tea on the stove. She nurses it for hours, staring over your shoulder with swollen eyes. Finally, one of the students discovers something, a carving of a man in a conical cap, engaged in the enthusiastic slaughter of a bull. So this was a Mithraic temple. The classicist examines the relic. They were a Roman cult devoted to worship of the Persian god Mithras. Their temples were sunk beneath the ground. They were a secretive bunch, and their rituals are poorly understood. We must continue to dig. I do apologise if I'm saying Mithraium incorrectly. I never did classic history. You've raised awareness of the classicist dig across London. Ooh, the dig is well underway. The butcher's cellar is a network of tents and trenches. Miserable students chip away with chisels at the stone-sown ground. The blighted classicist watches over it all with a small, contented smile. News of the discovery has begun to filter through London's whisper network, though most are still sceptical. A few interested passers-by will poke their head through the butcher's front door occasionally to ask about the mythic temple. We have a couple of options here. We can either embark on a publicity tour. The classicist needs funding, but is constitutionally incapable of bragging. So you'll invite yourself to distinguished social events and brag on her behalf. Or we can roll up our sleeves and help. You ask one of the students to pass you a shovel and a chisel. You'll show them how it's done. Or we can help the classicist write up her writings. She's been having trouble writing things down. She sees rivers in the ink, and her words are tangled by brambles. Or we can just write an article about the discovery. With a story like this, you could snag the front page. Well, let's do a publicity tour for first. That seems like a good thing. Bragging on somebody else's behalf is always good. A successful tour. While the classicist and her students sweat and labour in the dark, you're attending charity balls and society dinners, raising her efforts in conversation and toasting to her success at every opportunity. Your success exceeds all hopes. Soon enough, the whole of London's upper crust are following the dig with interest, and plying you with fine wines in their efforts to be the first to hear of the latest discoveries. Ooh, we gain some renown with the society, which is always useful. Well, let's roll our sleeves up our sleeves and get stuck in. You dig methodically, obsessively, striking at the earth like it's your oldest and most hated enemy. When you finally uncover some gleaming little thing, you begin chipping carefully at the surrounding soil. The students gather to watch. With a final flick of the chisel, you lift your prize from the dirt. A die made of devil bone. Infernal in origin rather than Roman. Classicist has no explanation for its presence. Oh, we got to keep the die? Haha, wonderful. So let's help her write up her findings, since she seems to be having trouble reading. Or writing, for that matter. Her voice is a little more strangled than usual, as she thanks you for your help. "It's these dratted eyes," she mutters. "I try so hard to ignore the things they show me, but writing makes it harder." She dictates, you scribble, and make an odd suggestion. Occasionally you fall into conversations about the broader mysteries of the Neath. She humours you, but she finds the topic exceptionally dull in comparison to ancient Roman theological history. Makes sense if she's a Roman historian. So the dig? Ooh, I didn't realise there was text up here. Whoops, well, I'll read this anyway. The excavation is well ahead of schedule. It is possible to walk through the temple's marble halls now and place yourself in the past. The students have abandoned their chisels and are employing camel hair brushes to delicately uncover the frescoes on the walls. Everyone in London, it seems, has heard of the excited new discoveries beneath the butcher's shop in Thortree's Passage. Someone is selling tickets outside, fraudulently but brazenly. You have been receiving occasional visits from well-known dignitaries. The classicist cannot suffer their well-meaning inquiries, but avoids them as best as she can. The classicist excavations have revealed a subterranean Roman temple in miraculous condition. The excavation isn't completely finished. There are still mounds of soil at the far end of the central chamber, but you can imagine the temple's former splendour. You walk its chilly halls with the classicist as she chants merrily about the implications of her findings. "The dig will soon wrap up," says the classicist with a tinge of regret. "Benthig wants me to hold some kind of grand event to mark the occasion. A dinner and a speech, after which potential donors will descend to the cellars and see the temple for themselves. You're invited, of course." A Roman revival? Who could have expected such a turnout? The butcher's shop cannot contain the crowd. It spills into the street, chattering and clamouring and impatient to view the much vaunted discovery below. The bustle includes some of London's most famous faces. The Bishop of Southwark is here, the jovial contrarian, Mrs. Plenty. So, we can accept a gift from the classicist. She herself is preparing her speech, but one of her students appears to offer you a gift on her behalf. Or we can politely refuse the classicist's gift. "Oh, you couldn't possibly." Such a selfless gesture would undoubtedly boost your reputation at the college. "Oh, I want to know what it is." I've already got a pretty high reputation with the college, so let's accept it. Ooh, a gift. A note is attached. "To thank you for all your help and hard work. We found it while we were digging through the stone. Whatever it is, it's not Roman in origin, so I thought you'd find it more interesting than I." You turn it over in your hands. A scabby cluster of tiny fused bones and skulls, like an owl's pellet petrified in glass. An earthly fossil. Lovely. An empty podium. The blighted classicist was supposed to give a speech before the guests visited the temple below. Unfortunately, she's nowhere to be seen. The crowd are growing restless. An intoxicated baronet attempts to fill time with a comedy routine, but is swiftly dragged from the stage by a heroic bystander. Where could the classicist have vanished to? So we should investigate the classicist's disappearance. If she exited via the front door, she'd have been mobbed by eager history enthusiasts before she got 20 feet, which leaves only one possibility. She went down into the temple. Assuring the guests that you've got everything under control, you descend into the suffocating darkness of the cellar. When the trap door shuts, the noise of merriment is snuffed like a candle flame. You are left with the tap, tap, tap of chisel on stone, echoing from the back of the temple's rearmost chamber. The classicist and a few students are crowded around a segment of wall, illuminated by a single lantern. One young archaeologist is chipping away at the rock, Piece by piece, the stone falls away, revealing a heavy brass door. We can either demand an explanation, what is this door and how did it get here? Or we can eavesdrop silently from the shadows. Has the classicist been hiding something from you? Since she doesn't know I'm here, I think hiding in the shadows is the best option. I didn't expect you to actually find anything tonight, the classicist is saying to her students, flustered. What am I going to do? I'm supposed to be giving a speech. She turns to the door. It's not of Roman origin, whatever it is. There are inscriptions in languages I don't recognize. The students stare at each other morosely. You choose the moment to step into the light, startling everyone present, sufficiently to create a chorus of small yelps. "Milady!" cries the classicist, sounding relieved. Well, isn't this exciting? The carving above the door depicts an array of stars, a slaughtered bull, and an inscription. Pro salvati din CCC et nob case do Mithraic et soli invicto ab oriente ab occidentem? Looks like Latin, but I don't know. The cultists of Mithras worshipped the heavenly bodies and practiced animal sacrifice, says the classicist. Perhaps this door could lead to a sacrificial chamber. She steps forward and opens the door a crack. You catch a whiff of brimstone, a blast of furnace-like air. Beyond, you see a long downward sloping hallway. Ah, says the classicist, stepping sharply back. The students flee to the safety of the butchers. What shall we do? We found a door into the hell, apparently. Wonderful. So we have three options. We can tell the classicist you should inform the church. Brimstone and brats. This has all the trappings of the infernal. The church would be keen to hear about this. Or we can inform the devils. If this is indeed an infernal matter, the devils would be best placed to know what to do. Or we can investigate ourselves. You tell the classicist to step aside. You'll head down the hallway yourself and see what lies beyond. Then you can decide what to do. That is a much better idea. As much as I would like to inform probably the church. I do like the devils as well, though. I don't know. I can't choose between them, so we're going to go alone. The classicist objects, but you cannot be dissuaded. Eventually she wishes you good luck and makes you promise to return in one piece. The hallway slopes downward, steeper and steeper. Darkness gnaws at your heels. After a half hour of walking, the smooth walls and polished flagstones of the hallway give way to natural cavern. Stalactites drip, stalagmites loom. You come across a sign carved in the wall above. It's in Latin and Greek and a dozen other languages besides, including, with the devil's usual piquant for anarchism, English. It reads, Devilbone Road. You press on. Moloch Saint Crossing. Soon you arrive at a crossroads. A railway track cuts across the tunnel and into the distance. The ceiling is blasted black by years of congealed smoke. Past the tracks, the tunnel descends into hungry darkness. You've already been walking for hours. You don't have enough supplies to carry on. All I have is a packet of humbugs in my back pocket. It's a long, lonely walk back. When you reach the Mithraic temple, you find the blighted classicist has fetched help. Unfortunately, help arrived in the form of the Bishop of Southwark. The big priest grabs you and hauls you bodily through the doorway. What did you see? Demands the bishop. Is this the work of devils? When you tell him about Devilbone Road and the Mulligan straight line, he grins the fiercest grin you ever saw. Wonderful. The bishop inhales the warm air like a familiar. Brimstone. He pulls a compass from his vestments, and the tunnel leads west. My friends, we may have discovered a passage to hell that the devils themselves have forgotten. Now, at last, we can take the blighters by surprise. Of course, before we send a regiment, we'll need to confirm that for sure. He claps you on the back. Are you ready for a little trip? Won't the bishop be going with you? He's not one to flinch from danger. There are rumours he once wrestled a bear. There are rumours that he actually is a bear. And do what? Destroy hell by myself? He chuckles. Madness! Arrogance! Pray, let's be realistic. I'll need at least 100 good men to destroy hell. The bishop strokes his mustache. I need to remain here so I can muster that force. It takes time to mobilize a regiment, you know. But it's vital I get started now. The devils have spies everywhere, and we must take them by surprise while we still can. So, you seem to have been volunteered. You may as well learn the details. Though I can't go with you, I know two who can be almost as much help. One of them I trust with my life. The other I despise, but he has proven himself useful. Both have been to hell before. He takes a scrap of paper from his vestments and scribbles a pair of addresses. One of them is hiding out in a church. The other is at home. Fetch them quickly. Time is the enemy. The devils at the Brass Embassy may be interested in knowing the bishop's plan, though they will only speak to you if your renown hell is high enough. Well, I fear I don't want to stab this man in the back, so we will be siding with the church. So our new goal is to recruit the old turncoat and recruit the unassuming veteran. Let's get the old turncoat. The bishop has given you the address of a tumble-down old church from before the fall. When you arrive, you find the graveyard patrolled by a pair of grim-faced soldiers. You are searched for weapons, then taken down to the crypt. The walls have been lined with bookshelves. In an armchair sits a distinguished older devil with unkempt hair, round spectacles, and a salt and pepper beard. He's leafing through a copy of Hugo's 93. Ask why the bishop would be working with a devil. The devil carefully places a bookmark and sets his novel aside with a tired smile. The devil looks at you levelingly over his spectacles. The other devils would call me a traitor, he says. I happen to hold unorthodox views, and so I am hunted. He waves a hand. As you can see, I have found sanctuary in the strangest of places. I know that the bishop loathes working with me, but it is a matter of convenience for us both. We share a common enemy. So we should tell him of the bishop's request. The turncoat's smile drops. He removes a handkerchief from his pocket and carefully wipes his spectacles as he considers your words. There are many secret routes to hell, says the turncoat. Too many even for the devils to keep track of. It was only a matter of time before the Londoners discovered one. I don't suppose this one was paved with good intentions? He smiles. A devil would certainly be useful to you on this expedition. At the very least, it shall prove more interesting than sitting in a heavily guarded crypt and jumping at shadows. I'll be with you. Before you leave, you speak to one of the soldiers and manage to secure a crate of necessary supplies for the journey ahead. Ooh, free supplies, always nice. I think I'm going to have to end the episode here, but in the next episode we will find the unassuming veteran and continue our quest into Devilbone Road. But either way, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. This seems like a very interesting storyline. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. And as always, I'll see you next time.